So I'm going to kick us off with a little bit of background on Domino's, and then Matt's going to take over and take you through some of the examples of the great work that CACI have been doing for us recently. So, as Gina said, I'm Hayley. I'm head of CRM at Domino's, and I've been at Domino's for 8 years now. Just to go back in time a little bit, I'll just flick us onto the next screen, sorry about that. So I started in digital marketing 15 years ago, which makes me old enough to remember trying to run mobile search ads via WAP. A few chuckles, so a few of you are old enough to remember. It was painful. You had a limit of around 15 characters, and it wasn't great fun. And those same people will remember dial-up as well. It was a difficult period. Luckily, technology has evolved at pace, and we are in a much better place now. So in the last 8 years working at Domino's, I've seen an awful lot of change and digital evolution within the business. When I joined, I was number 4 in the digital team. Number 3 also joined on the same day as me. And these days, we've got 26 people, I think, in the digital team. And our online sales in 2013 accounted for half of our overall business. These days, digital is 90% of our business, so we really, truly are a digital business these days. So there's been an awful lot of change in those last 8 years. Some of you may have noticed when I waddled up on stage that I like to take advantage of the discounted pizza. I do, and this is 50% pizza, but I am also growing a baby. And fun fact I was reading on the way down here, which made me slightly nervous for today, is at this stage of pregnancy, this is when baby brain really, really hits you. So if I just go off on one and start talking about my love of Peppa Pig World, great place, by the way, then I'm just going to use that as my excuse. So, I think that's enough about me. Can't actually read my notes. Okay. If I'm standing like this, it's because I need to see what I'm doing. So today I'm here to talk to you about our CRM journey that we've been on over the last year, and it really has been quite the transformational year for us. When I look back at this time last year, firstly, it was on this exact day that Boris decided that we could all meet up for Christmas. Only 3 households, but we were all pretty happy about this. We could celebrate with our nearest and dearest. Obviously, if you were in tier 4 like me, that never happened, but we were all excited at this point. But from a work perspective, everything has changed. And I think it's fair to say that our CRM landscape was fairly low on the maturity curve. We did have some great things going, our data mainly. So we had a really robust data set. We had a single customer view, as Tracy's mentioned. And we also had an RFV segmentation model. But unfortunately, the technology, the people, the platforms, the processes, and the partners that we had in place meant that we could do very little with all of that awesome data. So we mainly relied on batch and blast campaigns. Every customer receiving the same communications regardless of who they were, what they bought, and how frequently they purchased with us. So looking at that, we set ourselves the ambitious goal. We wanted to go from ticking the boxes in terms of the basics to the poster child for personalised customer experiences. And that brings us on to our vision. So we understand that we've got an awful long way to go on this, but I'm going to take you through some of the work that we've been doing over the course of the year to get us closer to achieving this. And why did we want to do it? To drive engagement and loyalty so that customers shop with us more often, spend more with us, and ultimately can rely on us for quality of service and satisfaction. So what does personalisation mean to Domino's? Well, it doesn't just mean using the first name within our communications, not at all. It's about using what we know about our customers, our data, to really segment the content that they're receiving so that we can look at not only the content within the messaging itself, but how and when they receive it too. So, for example, if a customer only ever orders vegan, there's really no point continuing to bombard them with pepperoni passion imagery within our emails. And we were starting from scratch. And there really was no shortage of ideas of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to test it. But we just didn't know where to start. But we got all of our ideas down on paper and grouped them into these 3 opportunity areas. So here are our 3 personalisation pillars. But we knew in order to actually achieve any of this, we had to make some serious changes in order to deliver on the opportunity. So where did we start? Firstly, technology. We completely overhauled our tech stack. So this time last year, we had a ESP who we were using just for email, and then we had a different platform that we were using for push notifications. And those 2 platforms didn't talk to each other in any way. There was no joined up approach to the data. In fact, our push platform had no customer data in it whatsoever. So we realised with our goal to step change personalisation, technology was where we were going to need to start. So we consolidated our tech stack and implemented Braze, our omni-channel engagement platform. And you're going to hear from Braze later, so I'll just go through this at pace. You'll do a much better job than I will, for sure. But with Braze, we now have the ability to send communications that are relevant to a customer's purchase behaviour at a time and in a channel that the customer is most likely to engage. And data-driven decisioning is one of our guiding principles, which we must keep front of mind in everything we do. And that is really key for our test, learn and iterate approach. Any of our avid fans in the room may have noticed that our push notifications used to land on the screen around 11 in the morning. Not exactly a key pizza eating time for most, except perhaps on a Saturday or Sunday morning nursing a hangover. But now we have the opportunity to use send time optimization. And what that does is look at the point in time that a customer is actually engaging with your communications and send them out at that point. So every customer is receiving your communications at a different point in the day, depending on what's best for them. And similarly, we have channel optimization available to us as well, with multiple channels all within platform. So we have email, push, in-app messaging, content cards, all sat within Braze now. And what channel optimization does is look at the channels that a customer is engaging on and send those communications, if you set up your canvases, as they're called, in the right way, to send out to those customers in that particular channel instead. We also introduced more deep linking with our new app. So our new app launched in spring this year, and it's fair to say that our old app was pretty old and prehistoric in terms of how it was set up and everything that was going on with it. I'm sure, like a lot of companies, you plan to launch an app within a year. It takes much, much longer than that. So there were a lot of things that we'd hoped to integrate into our old app, but we're continuously waiting for the new app to launch. So with our additional deep linking, we were able to direct customers to the product page or deal page most relevant to the content, or even add it directly to the basket. Another fun feature of our old app was there was no event tracking in place, not through our push system anyway. So we were unable to apply any segmentation, and we weren't able to attribute any value to any measurement to the value of push either as a channel. All we knew was that we had millions of customers with push enabled, but we didn't know who they were or what they were contributing to the business. Last but not least, we've got quick and easy segmentation. So this is something that we've now got in place with Braze. With the Braze SDKs that we have within our app, and we'll soon be having on our website as well, we can actually track all of the custom events and custom attributes in platform and make the segmentation at that point in time, not needing to rely on our data warehouse teams and weeks of development in order to get these sorted for us. So that's our technology. And secondly, going on to people. This has all changed in the last year too. When I look back at our team at this point last year, there were 4 of us in the CRM team. Right now, I'm recruiting the 9th person into our CRM team. So if anyone loves pizza and is looking for a new role in as an automation exec, please do get in touch. But we had to look at kind of what we were doing in terms of our structure. We didn't have enough people and we didn't have the right hierarchy. It was very hierarchical and it just wasn't fit for purpose for maximising the value of our new toolset. So obviously we've had a recruitment drive to get from 4 to 9 people, but now we've got 3 arms to the CRM team. We've got the automation team that I just kind of mentioned, we've got our campaign team, and we've also got a local digital team. And that's really key for us as a franchised business to have that local digital team as well, which I know if you're working corporate it won't be as relevant, but it really is for us. We flattened out the structure and we've got really clearly defined roles and responsibilities. So everyone knows exactly what their part to play in the team is and how they fit in with each other. We also work incredibly closely with our data and insights function, mainly the strategy and insights team and the data warehouse team. They really are an extension of us in CRM because we work so closely with them. And forming close relationships and getting tight processes in place with those people has been so important to our entire journey. And talking of process, this is another one of our big changes this year. We didn't have many processes in place, and it's still a massive work in progress. And I think it's one of those things that's going to continually evolve over time, because what's working today isn't necessarily going to work in 6 months' time. So one of the things when I am looking at the recruitment into the team is recruiting people who adopt a growth mindset. Because without that, they're just not going to be able to adapt to the change. And Domino's, as most businesses, do have last-minute changes, so we really need to adopt that value within the team. And then, last but not least, moving on to partners. So we needed some experts to bring on board to really make our vision of personalising all of our communications a reality. And so the key strategic partner that we've worked with over the last year is, no surprise here, CACI. So we work with a few different teams at CACI. One who works with our location team, I'll be honest, not a clue what they do. And then the 2 that we work with within digital are our personalisation project team. I can see a couple of them sitting over there right now, who have really helped us to drive our personalisation agenda forward. And our most recent recruit is our creative team. So we knew that we needed a specialist agency who could translate our above-the-line creative into digital-first and mobile-first content. We wanted an agency who would give us a joined-up approach, but not matching luggage. And we looked for an agency who could really help us translate all of these great ideas into digital-first content in this ever-evolving digital age that we live in. And also, we needed a partner who fully understood the technology we were using to not only really get the features and functionality that were on offer, but to challenge us to get the most out of that technology as well. So we had a successful pitch process, and I'm delighted to say that we then took on the wonderful CACI for our digital creative, headed up by the creative genius who is Matt Slaymaker right here. And at this point, I'm going to introduce Matt, who's going to take us through some of the great work that's happened to date. Over to you, Matt.
Good, thank you. All right, so got up the stairs, pick up the clicker. I'm not on mute, right? And you can see my screen. Ah, it's good, isn't it? Hello, this is lovely, isn't it? It's lovely to see you all. Okay, so, wow, creative genius. I mean, how do I follow that? I suppose with some slides. So, this was very exciting. Little anecdote from me, right? I'm not going to tell you my age and my star sign, but I got the news that we'd been successful in that pitch when I was in hospital. Yeah, I got a text from Simon, who's somewhere in here, saying that we'd won that, and that was incredible. It was a really uplifting moment because, well, didn't have COVID, anything like that. It's right. Done my lateral flow this morning, so I hope you all did. But it was a really wonderful moment because it was a piece of work that I've been, I think, fair to say, passionate about, and so to be doing it and talking about it is really fantastic today. So, Hayley mentioned matching luggage, right? And this is a phrase that we've talked a lot about recently. I didn't start my timer, so let's just do that as well to make sure I don't overrun because I'm already overrunning a little bit. Matching luggage is something that we've talked about a lot with Domino's and other clients recently, and essentially the idea is that it's very easy to produce digital assets for all the channels that you might want to produce content for. However, to create content, to create creative that doesn't just look like identikit assets that have just been changed to fit the orientation of the screen or of the platform that they're being served on. It's actually really quite difficult to make things A, fit for purpose, but B, look like they're intrinsically part of the things that you're digesting is really, really important, really hard to do. So, we find that actually a lot of content, a lot of creative can be vague and generic in some respects, right? So thinking about more impersonal content that maybe is out there, the generic message. Having irrelevant promotions, right? I mean, there's so much going on in our inboxes, on our phones, everywhere these days. It's really hard, I think, to sometimes stand out from the crowd a little bit. And unfortunately, we can fall into a trap of sending out promotions, offers, comms to people that maybe, just maybe, are out of place for where they are in the customer life cycle and where they are with us. So having that conversation is really, really important. And it can be a shot in the dark. So, data intelligence is really important. We've all got it. Well, some of us have got it. Andy, you're going to get it. Right. The data, all right, that wasn't a proposition. Maybe. But having that intelligence, having that data intelligence, no intelligence here, is really, really key to being able to power all of this, all right? One size creative works for a mass audience. Yes, it does. I'm not saying no one gets clicks, no one gets conversions, but it does miss the return on investment that personalized marketing can really, really bring in. And I don't just mean first names and subject lines. That's ubiquitous now. We know it works and it's great, but actually it's about doing a little bit more with it. So we really wanted to work for Domino's, with Domino's, on producing comms that hit the target. It's not a pun, it's just emphasised. And we've talked a little bit about channel optimisation already, but really here we're using it to talk to people on the appropriate channels, right? So using that data, that usage data, to understand how people want to be talked to and talking back to them. Hello, there we go. Sorry, cameraman. In a way that is appropriate to them. So, if we talk about the visual, we talk about the language, we also want to make sure that it's on the appropriate device, the appropriate time, making sure that everything really looks and speaks to a customer in the way that they want to be spoken to. But we don't want to do it so it's like jazz hands. We want it to be instinctive. We want it to feel like this is what you were expecting to see, or what you'd expect to see from us. So dynamic content and segmentation really come into that as well. That's really part of the conversational element. Localization, well, we have a gazillion franchisees in the UK, and everyone lives somewhere. So I want to make sure that we're also serving content that's relevant to you and your life. Real-time messaging, don't talk to me about iOS 15, all right? I might have a meltdown now on stage, which would make for great video. Oh, content. But real-time messaging, I think, is one of those things now that is so widely used, but could be more widely used, that it helps people really start to, again, understand the conversation that we're having with them, to really bring them into being part of who we are. And finally, gamification. Right? We want to be fun, we want to engage, we want people to really be a part of everything we're doing in the rest of these comms, but we want to remember the actual content itself is there really to stand out from what can be a flooded inbox, what can be the nth push notification you might have had today. So we put together the key ingredients, the only pun for me. I'm going to walk just over here for a minute. The key ingredients is the only pizza or food-based pun from me. Oh, that's a recipe, sorry. Two puns. I feel like I'm the Spanish Inquisition. There's a joke no one's going to get. All of these different areas or content types, if you like, go into making ultimately that conversation. So imagery is really important because that's how we elicit what we elicit emotional responses with. The visual, not just the words, go into the brain and they come out the other end and you order a pizza off the app. But being able to take that imagery, tailor it, whether it's sending it at the right time, sending it on the right day, maybe actually, as we got on the far right, putting personalized content in there. Okay, it's the ubiquitous first name, but actually it's about personalizing the way we're talking to someone after they've opened that email, or whether, when they receive that push notification. Video, we can have data-driven video now, right? Incredible stuff. I sound like a proper old man when I say that, but it's really smart, the technology, that we can take video, personalize it, talk about Tuesdays in Leeds. I've never been to Leeds. I hear it's a wonderful place. Not a big fan of the football team, but there we are. Let's not get into that. Copy, though, is just as important as the first two, because that's the written word, and that's another thing that we engage with. And so talking to people, not just in the common personalised terms of saying, well, hey, dear so-and-so, whoever you might be, let's talk to them conversationally. So in this example, we're talking about lots of things, or we've got lots of data sets in here, but we're not using them in a way that's, identikit. We're using it in a conversational tone of voice that speaks to Domino's customers in a way that they want to be talked to, expect to be talked to, and maybe, should be, right? So it's been 3 weeks, Sarah. 3 weeks since you tasted the delicious chicken. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 different pieces of personalization going on in there, but it just reads like a conversation. HTML, so this is actually a custom in-app message, but it's really brilliant stuff, and it's part of Braze, really, although this is a custom HTML piece that we built, but being able to use in-app messages to collect data, however innocuous you might think it is, to then being able to pushing that directly into a database, to be able to use that in a campaign that's maybe going out just after this, is fantastic. It's really great. Here we're talking to people about, who's your two for Tuesday other half? Is it family? Is it best mate? My true love, me, myself, and I. It's tragic. That's the one I picked. But this is brilliant. It's segmentation. It's live segmentation, right? Fantastic. But it's not a form, right? It's not a poll or a survey. We're not crowbarring this into our customer journey to ask people these personal details. We're just speaking to, hey, what's your favourite pizza? What's your favourite football player? What's your, it's good stuff. And then campaigns. So bringing all of this stuff together into, how am I doing? I'm doing all right. Into something coherent, into something that feels joined up, something that, again, feels seamless. Countdown timers are something that maybe we should be moving on from, but actually are so effective. Again, don't ask me about iOS 15. You don't want to see me cry. But everything that's going on here, everything that's going on all over the slide, comes together to form something that really does start to talk to people the way we maybe should be talking to them. So I just want to quickly show you how some of this kind of layers come together, right? And this isn't, I'm going to show a disclaimer, right? Isn't a real-world example. You can't shoehorn all of this tech into one asset, but the idea here is just to talk to you a little bit about each of those layers, kind of peeling away the onion, and show you how all of this tech, using it incrementally, using it together, can really start to build out some of this creative production that we've been talking about. So first off, we've got some copy that's just personalized. It's personalized copy that's being pulled from a rule set, right? So we've got some data behind this that sits in Braze. The campaign goes into Braze. We write some copy for those different segments. We pull them together. You're all getting different content. We're saying different things to different people. And we've talked about nutritional preference. Obviously, that's key nowadays. We want to utilize that as much as possible. What are all of those things that I was saying in the push notification around last order date, what you ordered, where you are, what you're doing? The way we use that is about, even talk about the whole family smile. So that's the segmentation piece. It's really, really important that we use that in a way, as I said, that talks to people, but we utilize that in Braze. Super simple, right? You write some if statements. You put in different copy. It's a really quick win. Really easy. It doesn't have to just be a first name. It could be anything. Really, really quick and easy. Secondly, we're producing real-time elements based on location, weather, or time, but it could be there's all sorts of things in MoveBlink or other providers being available. I don't have any shares in MoveBlink, or they wouldn't need my money anyway, would they? But having those tools available to us, having that type of tech available to start thinking about how we don't just personalize content within an email so that at the point of send or the point of open, we can have an even more tailored message, something that's pertinent to someone, as I said, at the point of open rather than the point of send. It's a big boom there. It's a big quick win. All of this tech nowadays, and I'm not going to do myself out of a job, but can be easily set up and used. And obviously the more you dig into it, the more that you can get out of it, the better. But actually, just to start doing these things and incrementally build up is something that we can all do. Can all do it. And we're using a tool called Creator-P to build creative assets really quickly and simply. So I was talking about all the different sizes that we have to think about and the different scenarios of where content's going to be displayed. Well, that's no different. That's no different from what we were doing before and what I was talking about at the start. But you want that to be an efficient process. It doesn't need to be, I've got 5 different artboards open in Photoshop or Illustrator, and now I've got to go to After Effects to do this, I've got to do that over here, and now have I got that asset? Right? There are production tools that help you do that and can help you pull in data from other sources so that you start to personalize imagery there as well. And video, talking about video. And lastly, adding personalization via something called Spirable. Now, Domino's have just moved to Smartly, which is an equally incredible tool. But Spirable was something that we worked with, that Domino's were working with, that will allow you. So the rainy nights in, not rainy, blimey, sorry, that was a faux pas. Tuesday nights in Leeds, might be raining, I suppose, 105 days of the year, apparently. That's using something called Spirable. Right? Super quick and easy. It's Tuesday night, well, it's just a data set, and you're in Leeds. Great, brilliant. So, as I said, this isn't a real asset, but you can see how all of the layers come together to create the thing that you get in your inbox or the alert that you get on your phone. Well, 2 minutes over. Right, so let's quickly go through this. Just to quickly sum up, and I do mean quick, right message, right channel optimization, really important, super important. Talk to people on the devices they expect to be talked on, and with that comes the nuance. Individual experiences, personalize it. You've got the data sets there to be done. But make sure it's intelligent. Don't just, put it in everything. Don't shoehorn this functionality into your comms just because you can. Make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons and that it works with where you're using it. Keep it local if you can, right? It's very important, especially if the last 2 years has taught us anything. I was a hermit for 2 years, and you can tell this is probably my first time out. And stop the scroll. So think about interactivity. Think about those real-time elements that actually, there's nothing wrong with scrolling, by the way. We do it every day. This idea that, you've got to just ignore the scroll. If you have long-form content, show it. Be proud of it. But actually having those quick, interactive and real-time messages inject fun into the comms that we're producing.